Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar. This is Boosting Your Localization, and it's the third installment of our web series. So today we're going to be focusing on helping customers find you, especially customers who are doing local searches, as so many of you on the line today probably run businesses that rely mostly on local searchers or nearby residents as your customers. Before we get started today, I want to go over just some of the features of this webinar really quickly. So you have in front of you some widgets over on the left-hand side. So we've got a Q&A widget where we'll be answering questions during this webinar and a little bit afterwards. So just type us your question and we'll answer you right back. If we don't happen to get to your question today, we'll be sure to follow up via email after the web series. And then the next thing that you have there is our resource list. So we have some great resources in there for you today. Feel free to click those or go ahead and download them. But take a look at those, and there's definitely some useful content in there as well that contributes to the topic we're talking about today. And then lastly, the biggest widget that you're seeing right now with the slides up is adjustable too. So you can actually take your mouse, drag at the bottom or tug at the bottom right-hand corner of that widget, and you can enlarge that if you want. I like to make mine nice and large so I can see all of the charts and graphs and everything. And that's it. Those are the features of today's webinar. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. Quickly, I'll just introduce myself if you're joining us for the first time today. So I'm Cameron, and I am one of the digital marketing consultants here at Active. And the exciting thing about my job is that I actually don't do any marketing for Active as a company. We solely work with our customers to help them improve their marketing efforts, evaluate their marketing efforts, and really adapt to this increasingly technical marketing world that we live in. And so today, that's really what we'll be focusing on is localization from that perspective. Yes, there's word of mouth, and yes, there's advertising on the side of the road, but how is it that you can expand your local presence and be where more of your searchers are, which is online? So let's go ahead, and I'm going to preface this with some of the information that we've covered from our earlier presentations, just in case, again, you're joining us for the first time today and you might have missed some of the original content. So the genesis for this content today was based upon some of the experiences that our team has had with customers and what we find that customers want to talk about or get consultations about with us, as opposed to where we think that they might need a little bit more help and emphasis in their marketing plan. So the first one is that a lot of our customers really want to focus on outbound strategies as opposed to looking at inbound strategies. So these are people who are already coming in and looking for you or trying to find your business. Are you able to be found in places like online search? Are you the person that your current customers are talking about when their friends are asking for and looking for recommendations? The next area is that oftentimes we get asked to focus on paid advertising efforts as opposed to organic, and really making sure that our website presence is strong, our social media properties are all well taken care of, we've got regular posts on those that are getting a lot of customer engagement. The paid search can be wonderful, but also when you stop sinking money into those efforts, that just completely dries up, whereas your organic presence can be maintained without all of that cost, right? So we want to make sure that we've got a strong foundation there for those paid searchers who do find us. We want to make sure that our digital presence is nice and strong. And then the last thing is that oftentimes we get asked about new customer acquisition when really we want to be focusing on or thinking about too, like, well, is our retention where it needs to be? Are we retaining, a greater number of customers than we're losing? So what's our net customers? And this is why we wanted to turn our attention to some of these strategies like search engine optimization, which we covered in the previous webinar, and then today moving into localization strategies, especially as they pertain to online. Now, what you're looking at here, I hope, illustrates the importance of the way that parents, our consumers, are looking for programs and activities today. So we still see that the top three sources of where parents generally hear about for the first time programs and activities is through three mediums. So we have the schools, we have just word of mouth, and then we also have their children telling them about the program or activity. That's very prominent, especially for younger parents, as you can see here, age 29 and below. But the next thing that most parents are doing is finding out about programs through an online search. And so that is really the one thing that you can directly control or have some influence over. Obviously, you want to be working with schools to improve your localization, and then working with existing customers who can be your champions, your ambassadors, and talk you up to the friends and family that they have. But really, again, it's online search that's going to be most in your direct control. And so that's why we're focusing on this aspect, localization, in this webinar. Further to that, another thing that we know is that when parents are looking or to learn more about camps and activities, they have a number of specific actions that they take too. Again, one of the most prominent things that they do is they go online, and then the next thing they do is talk to teachers, coaches, and youth mentors or leaders, people that they think are thought leaders as far as it comes to children and teaching kids. So those are some important activities too. Again, online search being very prominent in how we choose to learn about activities. We also know that when it comes to how parents are influenced, that online reviews actually play a super integral part in how parents make that ultimate decision about where they're going to spend their money. So we can see here too that things like teachers and youth leaders, again, play the most important role, followed by friends, which we found to be really interesting. But much more so than any kind of content that you can produce, like your print mail, social media posts, and even your newsletter, those online reviews have more of an influence and factor in how parents decide where to send their children. And so again, we're going to talk about that a little bit more coming up next. So localization for our purposes today isn't about, distributing more flyers to schools. It's not about posting up more signs on the roads. It's really about being found again, or how to get found more by local searchers, especially people who are doing that online. And the reason why that's so important is because this is something that Google is actively designing for. They are concerned with people who want to find local activities, events, and programs to register for. And in fact, it's estimated now that over half of searches have what is called local intent, meaning that the person who is doing the search is looking to find resources that are close and within their area. So as we're going to see, Google's done a number of things to help aid searchers in that effort. So just from your own searches, the image that I'm showing here probably looks pretty familiar to you. And this is something that's known to marketers and SEOs as the local pack. And having a presence in the local pack is one of the best things that you can do to improve your localization, or it's an important marketing effort if you're not in the local pack to try to increase. So there's a couple reasons why it's important. There are so many people searching for things like near me, or using that qualifier near me, or even using locations like in Bellevue, as this example might be. It's also important because we know that moms especially who are looking for programs for their kids, location matters. Over half of them want to have or value a convenient location as part of their search. So emphasizing that you are nearby, and there's ways to do this online, which we'll talk about, is super important. This local pack here, this 3-pack, appears in so many of the searches that we do today. It's estimated upwards of 90%. And one of the really cool things that we've discovered is that even if you are not ranking on the page 1 search results, which is those top 10 search results for certain keywords, maybe it's summer camp, maybe it's music classes, maybe it's dance lessons, you can still rank in the local pack, which is really exciting because this local pack, as again, I'm sure you know from being a consumer, outranks all of the organic search results in traffic. So next we're going to look at what's important and how you might be able to break into this local pack for yourself. When it comes to localization, there are some things that you should do to check what are called the third-party listings. So quite simply, when Google is returning results to searchers, again, especially searchers with local intent, one of the things that they do is make sure that you have what's called a consistent NAP plus W. So that's a name, address, phone, and then the W stands for website. So these directory listings are for sometimes companies or groups that you might never even heard of. I hadn't heard of a lot of them before I started getting into search engine optimization and understanding localization. But names like Newstar and Axiom, HotFrog, these are all different directory listings that the search engines use to aggregate address and phone number results and things like that across the web. And you would be surprised at the number of customers we talk to who have incorrect addresses on these listings, or maybe their name is inconsistent if they don't have a consistent brand name. Even small things like, they'll be missing the website, or the website will be pointing to different pages. Those things can all affect your ability to show in that local pack or to be considered in local search, or to show up for people who have that local intent, again, as we call it. So you want to make sure that these are consistent and that you have the correct categories listed for things like your Google My Business. If you don't have a verified Google My Business listing, that's definitely something that you should look up and take care of, and make sure that your Google My Business listing especially is complete. And so for completeness, we're looking for a proper category listing, and Google has lots and lots of them to choose from. We want to make sure that you've got some pictures uploaded, so pictures that are representative of your business, your location, maybe some of the customers you serve, and then also that your Google My Business page is linked into your social media properties, so things like your Yelp page and Facebook. And Yelp is another one of those aggregators that Google looks to for that trust and consistency. The reason why this is so important is because it makes you look like a valid, reputable business to the search bots. And so this is why we want to make sure when you look reliable and you look like a place that's updated, this is a place that Google would want to direct traffic to. So again, even though some of this sounds kind of funny, it's all really important to do. What we're looking at here, this image over here on the right-hand side, is an image from a tool that we use, and it's free. It's called Moz Local, and that's M-O-Z-L-O-C-A-L. So you can Google that once you get done with this webinar. You can type in your business name, and Moz should pull up information on how you're faring in all of these different directories. So take a look and see. It will tell you, how much of your directory listings are accurate, and then if you've got any inconsistent information, any duplicate information, or just missing listings. And Moz will even give you the links right in there to go and correct the issues, and it'll identify those issues and tell you what they are. So this is a really cool, really valuable resource that, again, I encourage everyone to go and check out. In addition to making sure that you've got that correct NAP plus W across all of those different citations, and you've made sure that especially like your Google My Business page is updated and your Facebook page, since that's such a prominent social channel, the next best thing I can recommend is make sure that you're really up to snuff with your online reviews. I'm showing the influencer stack rank again just as a reminder that online reviews are important or significant when it comes to parents making decisions about your business. It's very visible to them, and it's one of the first things that they'll see if you pull up in the online search results. So what we want to make sure of here with reviews is that recency and frequency matter. So how recent the reviews happen, and then also how often that they're happening. So this is one thing that you, again, when we talked about focusing on existing customers versus new customers, we really want to ask those existing customers, especially those ones that we know to be fans of ours, to leave us reviews on all of those different channels, on Google My Business, on Yelp, Foursquare even if you've got Foursquare, and that's another space that I would recommend making sure you have an account for. We want to do things like encourage check-ins through Facebook. One of the new things I've noticed that Facebook is doing is after you've checked into a place or been checked into a place, maybe by a friend who tagged you in a post, Facebook will ask you to leave a review. And so this is another super helpful way to get that engagement and get that localization. Why all of this matters is not just because of the visibility to users who are coming into the site and they're making a decision. Obviously, I'm going to go and take a look at a place that has 5-star or 25-star reviews as opposed to a place that only has 5, 3.5-star reviews. So that's just, a fairly obvious thing. But Google also actually looks at click-through rate. So we think, or we know, that having those positive reviews are going to contribute to that overall click-through rate, so the number of people that are taking a look at your link and then clicking through to your site. So we want to just make sure that, again, we're encouraging those. Some things not to do here. Do not ask staff to leave reviews for you, and don't have a computer at your place of business where people can check in and leave reviews. Google, Yelp, all of those places have gotten really smart at detecting IP address, and if they see that all of these reviews are coming from the same IP, they will flag those, and you can actually get penalized in the rankings. So what you should do is ask for reviews on a one-off basis too, when you have good conversations with customers, or at the end of a program, maybe send out emails and ask for surveys and ask for people to leave reviews for you at that time also. What we need to be wary of is just a massive deluge of reviews coming into your site at the same time. That's another flag or warning signal that will trigger Google to hide some of your reviews, or again, maybe penalize you even in the results. So definitely don't go asking, all 1,000 of your customers at the same time via mass email to go and leave your review, because that can actually backfire on your strategy. And as a last note, parents can, yes, it's bad when you get a negative review, but most of the people who are really looking at and evaluating your business will also evaluate you on how well you respond to that review. So just make sure that you're taking the time to leave a thank you or some kind of a brief comment to those people who are your fans, but then also leaving thoughtful, very non-defensive comments to the people who leave negative reviews, and as much as you can, offer corrective action and to improve that experience for them. Not everybody is going to be swayed by a negative review, especially if you again put that positive spin on it and show that you have that caring and engagement for your customers.
Another benefit of the flexibility of Camping Class Manager are the membership and tuition options available. Camping Class Manager makes it easy to keep track of participants' membership status. You can set up different levels of membership and run activity and summary reports, so you can have ongoing memberships and tuition rates adjusted to best fit your organization's needs.
And as always, we like to keep these things nice and snappy. We know that your time is valuable, and that for a lot of you, this is a super busy time of year. So we appreciate you dropping by and attending our webinar. Once again, I'm going to call your attention to the widgets over on the side, especially the resource widget. If you missed our first two recordings in this web series, we have them available for you to play. So you can go back and listen to those. And then you can also register for part 4 of our web series, where we'll be talking about how to tune up your sales funnel. And I'll go into exactly what that is in our next webinar. And finally, if you liked what you heard today, you're interested in working with one of our digital marketing consultants, and you want to learn how our Camping Class Manager software can be customized to help your business and increase your registrations, go ahead and click that submit button that you're seeing on the screen now. Clicking anywhere outside of that box will automatically dismiss it. But we just wanted to thank you once more for dropping by and hanging with us. And stay in touch. Let us know if you need anything else, and we're going to hang around for a few more minutes with our question and answer. And until next time, enjoy the rest of your week.